Okay, the reason I'm doing this video is because the firmware has changed on these radios and the software versions have changed over the past year or two, so I want to do a little refresh. Now let's set up the Icom 7300 for digital modes, and we're going to be using WSJT-X and Ham Radio Deluxe. Ham Radio Deluxe just came out with a new version also. Okay, first things first. I'm using a USB cable on this radio, just the USB cable. And if you're new to the 7300, what you want to do is go to the Icom website, download that USB driver, and install it on your computer before you connect the USB cable to the radio. That's the first thing. Then we want to set up the radio to work with the computer and in these digital modes. So I'm going to press the menu button, set, and the rest of this stuff doesn't really matter with what we're doing. Connectors is important. Let's go up to the top. And I'm just going to point out the important ones and I'll tell you what they do. The first one is the USB AF output level. It's ACC USB AF output level. And if you crank that up too high, you'll get too much audio into your software. And if you turn it down too low, you won't get enough audio, so you won't hear any signals. 35% works good for just about everybody. Let's go down to the next page, the USB mod level or modulation level. If you turn that too high, you'll get too much power output, too much ALC. If you turn it too low, you won't get enough power output. The next one is data off modulation, and I have mine set to mic USB. Mic ACC will work. And to change these, you just tap them, go up, tap it, and set it. I always have mine set to mic USB. Gonna go down. One more, data modulation, USB. And then we want to take a look at CIV. Now, if yours doesn't look like this, you may be linked. You want to unlink from remote. Yours may look like that with these two grayed out. To change it, just tap it, then tap unlink from remote. Let's go up to the first page. We don't have to do anything in here. I have my CIV transceive turned off. That's because some of the software that I use likes it turned off. But if you set your radio up like mine, and then you set up your software like mine, you shouldn't have any problems. All of my software works with these settings, and I use a lot of different kinds of software. So I'm going to tap that. We'll go down to the next page. We already looked at Unlink from remote. The CIV USB baud rate 115.2. And the reason it's set to 115.2 is because some of the software that has come out for these radios has a band spectrum monitor or band scope in the software, and this needs to be set to 115.2 for it to work. I have my USB Echo back turned on. That's because some of the software that I use likes it turned on. You can probably get away with it turned off. That's it for that. And then the last page, USB SYN keying. USB SYN is RTS. And I have these screen captures on my website, www.k0pir.us. And if you go to my website, at the top of the page you'll see Icom 7300 screen captures. And these are all on that page, and there's a description telling you a little bit about each one of these important ones that we're going over. This is an important one. If you set it to RTS and then also check RTS off in Ham Radio Deluxe when you connect, it'll transmit as soon as it connects. So you can either turn it off in the software or go in here and turn it off. But the way that my Ham Radio Deluxe software is set, it works perfect. We're not going to talk about CW keying or RTTY keying. That's another video, and I do have other videos out on CW and RTTY. And that's it for that page. And that's it for that. Now let's take a look at the receiver. And we're in USB-D mode. If yours looks like that, all you have to do is go in and tap USB and then data. And you'll get USB-D mode. Some people have trouble when they want to go back to USB. They tap single sideband and it takes them to lower sideband. So what you need to do to get back to USB is just take that data off. But we want it on because we're going to be using WSJT-X. Let's take a look at the filter. I'm going to tap and hold that down for 1 second. Filter 1, I have mine set to 3.6. And that's what I like using. It's the widest it'll get. Yours may look like this, and that's okay. That'll work fine too. I like to get a little bit more, as much as I can. When I was using it with JT65 and JT9, FT8, I wanted it as wide as I could get it, so I could see the JT65, JT9 signals in there. So to do that, tap bandwidth, and then rotate the tuning knob to 3.6, and it will be on sharp, so you're good there. Now that's as wide as you can get it. Tap exit to get out of there. Now this is the screen that I like to have when I'm operating digital modes. I can see my ALC, I can see my power output, no compression in digital, and hopefully no SWR. So that does it for the settings for this software that we're going to be using, and for the receiver. I have another article on my website about how I adjust output power, and I'll touch a little bit on that. I'll hit the multi knob. My RF power is set to 30%, and I adjust my power output with the multi knob. So there are different ways to do it, but take a look at my article if you want to play around with different ways to adjust your power output. You can do it with the multi knob, or you can do it with the power sliders in the software. Okay, well I think that about does it. Let's take a look at the new WSJTX version 2, and of course there's Ham Radio Deluxe, and I don't remember what version they're on, but it just came out. Okay, so we're over at the computer, and let's take a look at Ham Radio Deluxe. This is the latest version. I just downloaded it the other day, and I'm going to start it up. I lost my icon. It's over here. Let me put it over here. I goof things up. Double click and open it up, and Icom 7300, that's my COM port, and 115.2. That was the CIV USB baud rate in the radio that we set. I'm going to take a look at this tab and you can see all of it. Icom 7300, 115.2, 94 is the default. Nothing here is checked off. And I'm just going to open up HRD Logbook. So I'll click connect. And there we go. I'm on 40 meters. Shows USB right there, but I'll have data on here. Next thing I want to open up is WSJT-X, and let me pull it over. And by the way, I have articles on my website installing all of these and where you can locate the download pages. There's WSJT-X, and you can see it's connected. Now to set this receive level here, I'm going to go in and take a look at the sound. I'm using Windows 10. Bring up sounds, and this level has to do with receive, so that's the recording tab, and it's the USB audio codec. Where is it? There it is. Double click on it, then go to levels, and it's set really low. And I have it set really low because when there's just noise coming in, they say to have this at 30 dB. So to do that, if you look at the picture of the rig, my webcam, up in the top right hand corner, I'm going to tune off frequency. I'm off frequency right now. I got a little noise coming in. I'm going to move that up until it's at 30. It's at 30, so that looks good. Doesn't have to be perfect. If you got a dummy load, switch over to the dummy load. You can probably do it that way too. So that's how you set that level. The other level bar is the power, and mine's almost all the way to the top. I set my power with the multi-knob. And you can do it different ways, but if you want to try it this way, have a look at my website and the article on it. It shows how I do it. Let me move the wide graph over. Got an article setting up the wide graph also, and a video on that. Okay, so that's it for the two sliders. How about rig control? We're going to go to File and Settings. This keeps opening up on the other window. But if you've been using WSJT-X, you have all this set up. What is the important part is the radio tab, the rig, ham radio deluxe, and the network server this is the local port, and it's 7809. That's the local port for ham radio deluxe. And one error that pops up a lot with guys and me too is the ham lib. I've had that error before on my Macintosh, on this, on my Linux. My Linux box, it comes up, and usually it has to do with the cat control, something down here. Maybe the push to talk method is off. Maybe you have RTS or DTR checked. Maybe something is off in here, but usually it's the cat control. And so those ham lib libraries can usually be resolved by making sure you have the right COM port. I use the 7300 for the rig a lot, and a CIV cable. Sometimes I get the wrong port. I click test cat, and I get the ham lib error. Okay, so the push to talk method, if you're using ham radio deluxe like I am, it's cat, and the transmit audio source is the rear data. This is important. The mode, I usually have it set to data packet, but I've been having trouble with ham radio deluxe and WSJT-X or the radio fighting over the mode. And when I had data packet set, it was flipping back and forth between USB and USB-D. So I turned it just to none, and instead of WSJT-X setting the mode, I just either do it by the front of the radio or by ham radio deluxe, and that solved that problem. So if I hit test cat, turns green. Test push to talk, turns red. And of course, split operation, I've been using fake it. Just seems to work better when I'm using ham radio deluxe as the rig. And when you hit test push to talk, you don't get any power output. If you look at the radio in the top right hand corner, you don't get any power output. It just keys the radio. Gotta watch that and make sure nothing hides behind that webcam picture in the top right hand corner. Move that stuff over. Okay, the second important tab is the audio, the sound card input and output. These two should both be the USB audio codec. If you're not getting any sound into the waterfall, you're not decoding, you don't get any level here, it's probably set wrong. So the USB audio codec, and then the output USB audio codec. If you're transmitting and it's coming out of your computer speakers, it's probably set to your computer speakers. So those are two crucial areas, the audio tab and the radio tab, and of course the rig, and then the cat control. Then over in these other tabs, I really haven't changed anything else, playing around with the colors and some other stuff, but not real crucial to jumping in and making a contact. Okay, so I have been using WSJT-X. Let me point that out. None of these are too crucial, but let's go back to the reporting tab, because I've been using Ham Radio Deluxe Logbook. I'm using N1MM Logger Plus broadcast, and I have this enabled, and this is default. And then I'm using QSO forwarding in HRD Logbook. So whatever I log in WSJT-X automatically goes to HRD Logbook. It works really well. I have these checked off because I was using some other software. And click OK. And another program that I've been using is JT Alert, and it's a lot of fun. I have an article on my website using it. Let me go ahead and start it up, and I'll show you what it looks like. So it scans my HRD Logbook log, my main log, tells me what I need, and then it pops up here. Well, we got to decode something first. See, I'm on 40 meters, and it's 3 in the afternoon Central Time, and there's some activity here. There's a good one. If you look at my radio in the top right hand corner, you'll see I'm putting out about 20 watts. And my transmit is down here. You can see the red bar, kind of in between a couple of signals, so that's good. And then this is where he is transmitting over here. Try one more time. Now I had the hold transmit frequency checked off because I was calling CQ earlier. Normally I have that unchecked, and I will call a station on his transmit frequency. I find that works really good. And sometimes when I'm off the transmit frequency, it doesn't work as well. But you know, if you operate the way that a lot of guys do, you won't call them on their transmit frequency. You'll find a clear spot and transmit there, because the software will pick them up. They'll be able to tell you're calling them. Okay, well, he's not coming back to me. Let's try it the other way. I've got the hold transmit frequency unchecked. Now when I click on a station up here, you'll see these merge together. Let's go with the next cycle. There's one main. Now I clicked on main up here, K1AQP, and you see down in the wide graph, both of these merge, the transmit and the receive, so we're on the same frequency. If I hold down the control key on my keyboard and click in this wide graph, the transmit and the receive will stay together. If I don't, they won't. I'm going to call CQ here. A few times we'll make a contact. Might have to speed things up. Okay, there we go. We got somebody. KG5 UAV. And you can see he's transmitting down here. So he's transmitting off of my calling frequency. That's good. And I'm giving him a -11. Oh, now I'm going to give him a -9. Guess he didn't hear me. He may have somebody that's interfering with him, or I may have somebody that's interfering with my signal. So he might have heard me one time and then lost me. Oh no, there we got it. Okay, so it prompts me to log the QSO, and there is an issue with this retain on this version of WSJTX. So, yeah, I am putting about 20 watts. I'm going to say 22 watts, and I don't even need the watts in there. So I got the signal report. I'm going to click OK, and now it's going to go into Ham Radio Deluxe. Well, he didn't see that I went back to him, so I just double clicked on him again so he knows that I got it. Let's take a look at the logbook. There he is, KG5 UAV, and that's through QSO forwarding. We go to Tools, Configure, and I do have an article on that, and that time he got it. Sent me a 73. I do have an article on this also on my website. Go to QSO forwarding, and it is down here. The UDP receive, I got these two checked off. I've got receive QSO notifications checked off from WSJTX. This is the default port, and my target database is the mine master database. Yours will be named something else, and then the fields should be merged. So that's what that looks like. And again, I have an article on my website going in a little more detail. Click OK. So if I take a look at him, I'm just going to double click on it, open it up, and let's see. It's got all the information in there, 22 watts. Alright, so that's it. This turned out to be a long video, and I did skip over some things. I probably tried to cover too much. But if you have any questions or comments, please make them below. I will have an article on my website to go along with this video, and you can go there and make comments or questions also. So I appreciate you coming by and viewing my video. I appreciate the visits to my website. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. 73 and good DX.